Hey, hey, what's really going on? Bitcoin cryptocurrency going to be taking a look at Litecoin, LTC against USDT on the Binance chart. Going to be assessing some of the technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be assessing some of the key levels I do believe are going to be kind of interacting with in the kind of near future here. Going to be assessing whether or not we will get rejected from, we appear to be printing a lower high at the moment. Will we get rejected, come all the way back down to confirm some more support, or can we break through this resistance and set some higher highs? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. What are you doing with your Litecoin? Do you hold Litecoin? Are you going to sell? Did you sell at one of these tops? Did you buy at one of these tops? What are you doing with your bag? Subscribe here on YouTube and try EngineeringRobo free with link in the description. Now, jumping right into it, we see price action rallying upward along this ascending kind of trend line that I kind of started back in the end of October of 2020. We kind of came up, retested it, kind of had these periods of pumpage to dumpage as we trade kind of in a sideways manner. Here we have an example of prices kind of coming up, getting rejection off a key level, come all the way back down to my support line, ascending trend line there, coming back up, printing a lower high, coming back down again, printing a higher low relative to the previous kind of kind of bottom there, and continuing to rally kind of upward. So here we have a what would appear to be a double top forming, getting kind of rejected, and was able to kind of continue kind of upward in the long run. Here we have price action consolidating kind of downward in kind of like a descending triangle kind of manner for a good 20 days. We then rally upward, traded kind of forwards in like a kind of W sideways kind of pattern for tens of days, like you could like almost 2 months kind of thing. After rallying upward past this resistance around 244, we hit higher highs around 336, getting rejected and coming all the way back down to my support zone, kind of just above 206 and under 225. We're now coming out of a 38% rejection from that swing high back in the middle of April of this year. And so now we do seem to be interacting with the bottom of my kind of ascending trend line as resistance. And so, I mean, this candle, as well as this buy volume, this candle does look very, very bullish. We did recover very nicely. And, even in Bitcoin's kind of dumpage over the past kind of day or so, Litecoin stayed relatively sideways. It dipped, recovered nicely, it spiked and sold off, and, is now trading kind of relatively sideways. But this candle is looking very bullish. There's a lot of buy pressure in this candle, and it definitely survived that pullback that Bitcoin had quite nicely. Although we are printing what would appear to be a lower high, as this candle did wick up to 327, lower than 336, which is the swing high back in the 17th of April there. And so, I mean, if that continues, if we continue to fall, say we get rejected from that ascending trend line, I do believe we can definitely come back down to maybe perhaps the 250 level there before we can continue upward. I think if we continue to get rejected from this level, I do believe we're going to have to retest some kind of higher local support around perhaps 250. I don't suspect we can come all the way back down to the kind of 200 level there, but in the long term, or midterm rather, I do believe that could be a local bottom that we could potentially come down to if we were to consolidate in such a bearish manner. Although, like what I referenced earlier, was this kind of price action here of prices kind of coming up, dipping down, coming back up, printing a lower high, and dipping down again before printing a higher low and rallying upward. I do suspect that could be a potential, potentially what price action looks like if we get rejected here. We could come back down, print a higher low relative to these kind of swing lows there, and kind of continue upward. I do believe I'm still long-term bullish for Litecoin, although in the short term we are in a bit of a pivotal area and we are interacting with resistance at the moment. Thus, there is some increased volatility around price action currently. Now, when we turn on EngineeringRobo along with these fettuccine lines of sacred geometry and angles, and we can kind of see this kind of key range I do believe prices are going to be kind of trading in the kind of near future. So EngineeringRobo at the moment is mildly bearish with this kind of sell for and hell present. Even as prices are recovering, we still have these kind of sell signals present, which does suspect perhaps a pullback downward kind of thing. And so this does lead me to believe that we're still going to kind of perhaps come back down to at least this 269 level there around the 0.786 Fibonacci line. I do believe that if we fail to hold that, we can easily come back down to the 0.618 if we do kind of consolidate in a more bearish manner. Like I was stating earlier, a more bullish local support will be around 250 in my opinion. So perhaps we kind of wick down below that kind of Fibonacci line there. That would be more bullish consolidation and support over the next kind of coming weeks. But if we do get rejected and we fail to hold that 0.786 line, we can definitely come back down to the kind of 0.618. And so I don't know if you saw briefly there, but there was that buy 4. There's that buy 4 coming into play. So this candle, like I was saying, is looking quite bullish still, the volume and the buy pressure and that amount of sideways against Bitcoin's dumpage. And so, I mean, we are looking still quite bullish for Litecoin. We even have the buy 4 coming into play. This candle has not closed yet. And so, you know, until this candle closes, we can, you know, can't be too certain on whether or not this buy signal will be confirmed or not. But so far, we are still looking quite bullish, and we are seeing this this buy 4 starting to print in real time here. If we consider the price of Litecoin against the price of Bitcoin, and so we see kind of more bullish consolidation, in my opinion, as the price of Bitcoin plummeted to kind of a few $1,000s, getting rejected off of 57K. The price of Litecoin stayed sideways against the price of Bitcoin, allowing us to break upward through this kind of last key resistance that I was indicating in this kind of purple zone here. And so, I mean, I do believe that to be quite bullish. There's tons of volume, and I do suspect prices to perhaps interact just under and above the kind of middle of this kind of purple zone, perhaps just above it kind of thing, before we kind of continue upward. If we don't kind of the next candle just like spike upward and get rejected off of that kind of 66.96 Satoshi level there. So Litecoin still looking quite bullish against Bitcoin, especially with price action currently. Oh my God. If we consider EngineeringRobo, along with these Fibonacci levels, we can see prices are still quite bullish. We have the buy 4 and moon, along with prices closing above the 200-day moving average. We have prices interacting with between these kind of two Fibonacci lines. The 0.618 and the 0.5 level seem to be correlating quite nicely with my purple kind of zone there that I believe we're going to be interacting with in the kind of near future, perhaps within it, sort of sideways or just above it, in my opinion, under what appears to be the 0.382 line. And so prices are still looking quite bullish. This is, you know, the fact that we were able to hold sideways and maintain bullishness against that dump is you know, is quite healthy for Litecoin, and is, like I keep saying, quite bullish for Litecoin still. And this does suggest that we can continue to gain against Bitcoin, even in Bitcoin's kind of up and down, figuring itself out type mood that it's in right now. If we consider the price of Bitcoin against US dollar tether on the Binance chart. Speaking of Bitcoin, we can kind of see a new perspective come into play here when I turn on the Fibonacci levels along with the fear and FOMO zone. Let's check what that is. We got the fear FOMO zone all the way up there at you know, 86.6. You know, FOMO zone rising. I do believe we're going to be interacting with the FOMO zone this year for sure. We are still, EngineeringRobo is still rather bearish on Bitcoin at the moment, which is why I was saying back in these kind of previous days when we were interacting with resistance around 57K, with these sell signals still present, I do suspect another pullback to occur, and here we have prices getting rejected from 57K, although we printed a really quick higher high relative to the 1st of May. So I believe is still quite long-term bullish in my opinion, and could be perhaps short-term bullish, suggesting we can print a higher low relative to these kind of swing lows back in the beginning of May, end of April there. So if we can kind of hold support kind of where we are right now, and you know, find a local bottom kind of above 54K or like 53.5, I can be more short-term bullish. But if we continue to get rejected, I do suspect prices to interact with this 0.786 line, or even my resistance zone around the 50K level there. And so prices moving forward could perhaps print a pattern like this. We could see perhaps like a W pattern kind of form kind of thing, like as prices come down, come up, come down again, print a higher low, and you know, kind of continue to rally upwards. So we can see this. We could see a W pattern form that would be ultra bullish for Bitcoin, in my opinion. Further support and confirmation of support are in the 40K range, like the high 40Ks, the low 50s again, is going to be super bullish in my opinion. The longer we can trade sideways in the 50Ks, I believe the more like healthier it is for Bitcoin in the long term. Like, you know, the longer we can accumulate, the longer we can stay sideways. You know, the more healthier the run can be upward, rather than just plowing through resistance like it's kind of not even there. We've just been shooting upward directly, getting rejected aggressively. But now we seem to be, you know, in a phase of sideways and accumulation still. And so with the super buy coming into play, we can kind of get a little bit bullish on it. I do suspect that we can find some support along some higher lows in the kind of near future here. We can probably be dancing around under 57K for a few days before we kind of trade upward into it. Although, like I said, if we continue to get rejected and say we print a lower high and get rejected off of like 56K, 56.3, we can come down to that 0.786 line around the 51K for sure. And so there's lots going on. Watch out for changes in momentum. Watch out for EngineeringRobo's buy and sell signals. We could start seeing buy signals start to print at any kind of day here. Bitcoin is still overall quite bullish, so EngineeringRobo could get bullish on Bitcoin again quite soon. But until then, we are still in the presence of a supercell, sell 2, sell 3, sell 4, and hell. Keep in mind the super buy. Watch out for EngineeringRobo's buy and sell signals. Thank you for hearing my analysis. Subscribe here on YouTube. Check out all the social media down below. Try EngineeringRobo free with a link in the description. And tune in for the next one.